Have you ever felt like you've spoken a lot, shared your thoughts and opinions, yet instead of being appreciated, people brushed you off and didn't take you seriously? If so, listen closely to this story. It is a simple tale, yet one that carries a deep and powerful lesson. A story that won't just make you smarter, but may also help you appear wiser in the eyes of others. Stay until the very end, because it just might be a turning point in your life. Deep in a quiet, lush forest lived a young owl. He was no ordinary owl. From the moment he was born, he was known as the son of the wisest owl in the entire forest. His father was respected by everyone. The deer, the rabbits, the monkeys, even the oldest birds who had lived there for decades. Whenever a problem arose, the animals would say the same thing. "Go to the old owl, he will know what to do." The young owl grew up hearing these praises every day. And slowly, without realizing it, a desire began to grow inside his heart. He wanted to be recognized too. As soon as his wings were strong enough to fly on his own, the young owl began giving advice. Not only when it was asked for, but almost every chance he got. When a rabbit hesitated at a crossroads, he would quickly say, "You need to calm your mind. My father always says the best decisions come from a clear head." When a monkey argued with a squirrel, he would interrupt, "You should make peace. Conflict only makes life harder." But there was one problem. Not all advice is needed. At first, the forest animals simply exchanged glances and stayed quiet. They still respected him, at least because of who his father was. But over time, the young owl became more interested in speaking than listening. He didn't ask what was really going on. He didn't care whether his words were actually helpful. There was only one thing that mattered to him, that others would see him as wise, just like his father. One day, something serious happened in the forest. After a heavy rain, an old tree collapsed. Its massive trunk blocked the entrance to a rabbit family's burrow. The rabbits panicked. The deer rushed over to help. The monkeys gathered the other animals to push the log together. They worked tirelessly, sweaty, exhausted but unwilling to give up. And up on the branch of a nearby tree, the young owl simply perched and watched. Instead of coming down to help, he began to speak. "You should organize yourselves better," he said. "Push from the right side, not the left. Strength without strategy is wasted effort." He kept talking, kept giving directions, kept believing he knew best. Yet not a single claw of his touched the fallen tree. The deer began to feel irritated. The rabbits grew weaker with exhaustion. Finally, the monkey stopped and looked up. "Why don't you help us?" he asked. The young owl replied proudly, "My father always says that wisdom is more important than strength." The forest fell silent, not out of admiration, but out of disappointment. Eventually, through teamwork, the log was moved. The rabbit's home was saved. But no one thanked the young owl, no praise, no smiles. As he flew closer, he heard whispers below. "He's all talk. Trying too hard to sound wise. An empty barrel makes the loudest noise." Those words cut deeper than claws. The young owl froze. Only then did he truly realize the truth. All this time, he hadn't really been helping. He only wanted to appear wise. With a heavy heart, he flew back home. That night, for the first time in his life, he felt no pride in his own words. His father was perched calmly on an old branch. The moment he saw his son's face, he understood. After listening to everything, the old owl spoke gently. "If you truly wish to become wise tomorrow, perch yourself at the top of the great oak tree near the human settlement." Then he added, "And remember this well. While you are there, you must not speak. You may only watch and listen. Without protest, the young owl nodded. He had no idea that this was the place where his life would begin to change. The next morning, as the sun slowly rose, the young owl flew toward the largest oak tree in the forest. The tree towered high above everything else. From its peak, he could see almost the entire forest, and beyond it, the nearby human settlement. He perched at the very top, remembering his father's words. "Do not speak, only watch and listen." At first, it was incredibly difficult. Time and time again, he felt the urge to open his beak and offer advice, but he held himself back. He refused to give up. Days passed. From the top of the oak tree, the young owl began to notice things he had never truly seen before. One day, he watched a boy helping his father carry a heavy basket of fruit through the forest. Their purpose was clear. The fruit would be sold. The boy didn't complain. He didn't say a word. Even though life was hard, he helped his father sincerely and without resentment. The next day, the young owl witnessed a very different scene. A well-dressed girl from a wealthy family was shouting at her mother. The contrast struck him deeply. A child raised in hardship showed respect and humility, while one surrounded by comfort showed none. On another day, he observed a young man who constantly lied just to seem impressive. Yet instead of admiration, the man received nothing but mockery. From everything he saw, the young owl began to realize something profound. By simply watching and listening, he was learning far more than he ever had by talking. "If I had stayed busy speaking," he thought to himself, "I would never have seen any of this." He heard countless stories. Some were true, others were clearly exaggerated. And at last, the time came for him to return to the forest. That very day, a major incident occurred. A large elephant had fallen into a deep pit. The rabbits, deer, and monkeys rushed to help. They tried pulling the elephant out using vines and ropes made from plants. But it was no use. The elephant was simply too heavy. When the young owl arrived, some animals groaned in annoyance. "Brace yourselves, the owl is here," the deer muttered sarcastically. "If he starts talking without helping, I'm throwing a rotten fruit at him," the monkey said, wiping his sweat. But something unexpected happened. The young owl said nothing. He perched quietly on a tree and observed. He studied the situation carefully, listened to every sound, thought in silence. From his observation, he realized that strength alone would never be enough. This problem couldn't be solved by pulling the elephant out. After understanding the situation, the young owl flew away, without a single word. The animals looked at one another in confusion. A short while later, the young owl returned, this time with his father. Without needing much time to observe, the old owl calmly gave instructions. "Push that large tree trunk into the pit," he said, pointing to a fallen log nearby. "And you, elephant, move to a safe position." Without hesitation, the animals followed his commands. They trusted the old owl, the wisest creature in the forest. The young owl joined them too, helping push the heavy log. After a long and exhausting effort, the trunk finally fell into the pit. Only then did they realize the log was strong enough to serve as a ramp. Slowly, the elephant climbed up and out of the hole. Cheers echoed throughout the forest. The animals praised the old owl's brilliance. Yet one question remained. The monkey stepped forward and asked, "Great owl, how were you able to find this solution so quickly? You had only just arrived and barely looked at the situation." The old owl smiled gently and replied, "My son," the young owl, "observed everything before I arrived. This solution came from him. He simply asked me to deliver it to you all." The animals were stunned. "Then why didn't he tell us himself?" the rabbit asked. The old owl answered softly, "My son felt that you all no longer wished to hear his voice, so he chose someone you all still trusted." Silence fell over the forest. The animals had never expected this. The young owl they once mocked had changed completely. He chose to stay quiet, to observe, to think, and to act at the right moment. From that day on, the young owl was no longer known as the one who talked too much. He became known as a young owl who was truly wise and intelligent, not because of his words, but because of his understanding. Friends, from this story we learn that to become wiser and smarter, it is not our mouth that we need the most, but our eyes and our ears. Observe more, speak less, listen with intention, because true intelligence and wisdom are not born from many words, but from deep understanding. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next story.